Welcome to Mattys Mental Health Podcast, aiming to spread awareness on mental health by sharing the real life stories of those who've experienced it firsthand. Hi, everybody. So, I wanted to record a podcast and tell my story. I talk about it a little bit on the other episodes, but I wanted to tell the full story of why I decided to start this podcast, what inspired me to do it, and my experiences with mental health. So, yeah, I'll jump into it. I have some notes here, so hopefully I cover everything I want to cover, but I'll start. When I was 18 years old, I met a girl named Carolyn. She was a really nice girl, and we hit it off. We hung out for a while, and then we started dating. She was a sweet, kind, funny, gentle person. Another thing about her, and I think it's worth mentioning, she was very hardworking. She played high-level ringette. Uh, she uh, she rode horses. So she's doing that 2, 3 times a week. She had a part-time job, and she went to school on top of all that. So she was very busy, very dedicated, and just a strong-willed person. I remember it was one of the first things I noticed, and I admired her. I admired that about her. But our relationship went well. We had a lot in common. Um, we had a good connection, similar goals, aspirations in life, and a good respect for each other. One thing I noticed, I don't know, when I met her or around the time I met her, she had some social anxiety, and this is nothing I wasn't used to. I had dealt with it myself too, especially when I was younger. I went through some hard times, during adolescence, as we all do. But I never really thought too much of it. She had a rough relationship before this one, and I just figured she was figuring things out like everyone else, kind of like we all do. So as time went on, I guess I kind of noticed her anxiety started to progress and get worse. She'd be a little bit more nervous before social events or social gatherings or whatever. And it's funny because she was the type of person that would like get nervous about it, but then once she got there, she would be like the center of attention. So it's funny how that works. Um, so at some point over this time of our relationship, like a year, year and a half in, it started to progress and get a little bit worse. I noticed things were getting worse. It got to the point where she didn't want to drive long distances because she didn't want to be stuck in her head when she drove. And for example, driving to my place, she didn't want to drive, so I'd pick her up a lot. And I also noticed, she'd sometimes we'd be together and she'd kind of zone off and be in her own head for a while, and then she'd come back and be fine, like totally fine. But I could tell that she was kind of in her own head when that was happening. So all this being said, I never thought any of this was serious or life-threatening. I never thought I never thought it was life-threatening. She was such a go-getter with life, and she really had a good time. She was full of life and um, just had a lot of fun. You know, so and I think everybody that's what everybody thought. She was just figuring things out. So things got progressively worse, and I started to get a little bit worried about her. And I didn't really know how to help her. I tried to help her the best I could. She opened up to me a little bit. I don't know if she ever told me she was sad, but she said that she was anxious and that she couldn't control it. But I did try to get her to help. She wanted to go to the doctor, so you know, she, I agreed and I said that I would take her there, because she was nervous about going. She didn't want to go. She didn't want to go. She was nervous about what people would say or what people would think, or I don't even know how anyone would know, but she was nervous about it, as a lot of people are, I think. And um, I said that I would go with her, and I would go into the doctor's office with her and tell them what's going on, and she wouldn't even have to say anything. Like she just had to come, and I'll say it for her, because she was so nervous about going. So she agreed, but it just unfortunately kept getting pushed off. It would just be like the doctor's open, the office is open Tuesday, Thursday, and she would say she was busy that day or whatever the case is, kind of pushing it off. And I mean, I was busy too, but I wanted to get her there. And we would have such good times together, and everything would seem so normal for these long periods of time. And then um, it's just unfortunate that we didn't get there. But it got to a point in the relationship where I just didn't know if I could do it anymore. I couldn't see her like this anymore. It was killing me to see her like that. I remember one day I woke up. I woke up with her that day. We had a good night the night before, but she was very distant and kind of in her own head. And it was just killing me to see her like that. I remember I just woke up with her, I kissed her goodbye, and I did whatever I did that day. And I called her later on, and I just said, like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I just can't see you like this. I think you need to go get help. And the way we're going, like, we can't just keep pretending this isn't a thing, you know? And I was young and I was confused and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. And I just wanted to try to push her towards help. And I was frustrated because I hated to see her struggling so much. And I just said, I can't do this and you need to get help. And yeah, I said my piece. And I remember we were talking on the phone. I said that, and there was a long silence. I was looking off, and I was in my backyard, and I remember just staring off into space. And I was thinking to myself, like, what do I do here? What do I say? Am I doing the right thing? Is Should I just go over there and tell her how I feel, and then get her to help, or is this breaking up right now going to push her towards help? Like I had no idea what I was doing or how to help. And after this long period of silence, she responded before I could say anything, and she said, "Okay, but you're wrong. Okay, but you're wrong. We should be together." And then she hung up. And a few hours go by. I end up going out with my friends that night, um, and we go to a wine festival. So I was drinking um, some wine, and I was thinking about it, and I just texted her and I said, "I'm sorry," and that I love you. I'm sorry. And she said, "No, you're just gonna continue to break my heart," and some other stuff, just break up stuff, whatever. And my phone died, so I don't know what she said after that. But all I said was, "I'm sorry," and then, "I love you." And my phone died, and I ended up drinking a bunch of wine. I thought to myself, we'll get back together tomorrow. Um, and I drank a bunch of wine, ended up getting sick, of course, threw up a little bit. It was disgusting. And then went to my friend's house, slept there for the night. I woke up, um, go back to my house, and my phone's still dead. So it actually ended up that my phone was broken, so it wouldn't turn on. So I went outside and started cleaning my car. And while I was out there, her parents pulled up. It's her parents and her sister pulled in my driveway without Carolyn. Um, it's funny, when someone knows family comes to your place unannounced, you kind of instinctively know that something's probably wrong, but your mind is just racing and hoping that nothing is wrong. I was hoping maybe Carrie wanted them to pick up something, or they were stopping by to say hello. for whatever reason. But as soon as I seen the look on their face, it was a very distinct look of sadness. I knew that before they even said it that she wasn't alive anymore. And they told me that she had killed herself the night before. Um, and I lost it, man. I completely lost it. I was yelling and crying immediately and punching the ground. And then I came in my house, I punched holes in the wall, I punched holes in my door, and I grabbed a shirt or a sweater or something, and then I went with them for the day. And thank God for her family. They took me in right away and treated me as family, and they still do. Very thankful for that. I don't know what would have happened to me that day or any day since if that wasn't the case. We went out to her family's cottage, and you know, a lot of her, all of her family was there, and some of her aunts really talked me down from my emotions, probably saved my life. Um, that day, and the next couple of weeks, I spent a lot of time at their place, with their family and their family's friends, just always talk to me, which really helped. Um, but I don't know if I can describe how I felt that day. It was just complete shock and confusion and terror. Physically sick and anxious. Um, couldn't sit still. Couldn't relax. Couldn't, yeah, find normalcy in my mind. Um, and you know, I eventually got my phone fixed, and that was weird because then the text came in from that night, and she had texted me after, she just said break up stuff. She's gonna break my heart. Young people break up stuff, and then she said, "I'm sorry. I love you. You're my best friend, and I'm sorry, but I can't do life without you. I'm sorry. You're my best friend." And she called a bunch of times, um, but obviously I didn't get it. My phone was dead, and also on Messenger she called a bunch of times as well until around 4 in the morning, and they think that's about around the time she died. Um, So, your mind immediately goes to what if? What if I did this? What if I did that? What if I said this? What what if I did something different? And that's kind of the curse you live with for a very long time, a year or more of just playing out the scenarios of what if I said this? What if I did this? What if, you know? But at the end of the day, and what you have to realize when you lose someone to suicide is that mental illness took her life. You know, no relationship took her life, no person took her life. Mental illness took her life, and it's taking people's lives all the time. Um, I as soon as it happened, I knew that I wanted to do something to help others. My mind was immediately looking for something, some kind of positive I could do, or in her name or something, just I could give just to help others that were going through this, you know? And I didn't know what that was for a really long time. And eventually I got into podcasts. Um, and I thought it would be a good idea to have a place where people could share their story, and really share their story. I think it's one thing to say we need to end the stigma, and we can just say that. But until you really understand it, it's I think it's just hard for people to understand that have never been through it. If you've never been through it or you've never been around somebody who's going through it, um, hearing that story can be very beneficial and help you understand. And also, hopefully, help people who's going through it and let them know they're not alone, they're not the only one, and to go get help. Um, and if it can help one person, it'll be 100% worth it, you know? Is As far as the grieving process, um, I I guess I'll talk about that too. It was terrible. Um, the whole first year was just complete shock and sleeplessness, tiredness, um, just a constant mix of emotion every day. You just go back and forth in your mind, like trying to, you know, survive, get angry, sad, happy, all in the same hour. And it's just constant. I couldn't sleep a lot. That was big for the first year. I'd just be up for like 2 or 3 days and then be down for 2 or 3, or you know, things like that. Remember just crying all the time. I remember that first summer, I used to just like drive to work and cry on the way. And I, I cut grass, so be in the truck with my sunglasses on, and I'd just cry in the back of the truck. Be cutting grass on the lawnmower, just cry. And yeah, there's just no breaks. Um, and one thing, there's a lot of things I did right away that started helping, but I started going to therapy right away, and luckily I found a really good counselor that I really get along with, and she's like a friend. I still see her, um, but she was the right one to go to, and she's helped me a lot. And I've seen her every week for a long time, and then every couple weeks, and every month now or a little more. But I needed that. I just needed someone to help me work through what's going on in my mind and let me know it's normal and just vent everything out and help me work through it. And it really changed my perspective on um, how much it can help. Therapy can help. Um, just because I didn't know before. I started walking my dog every day, um, for like an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours. Just going out into nature, letting him off the leash and walking for hours, and I would do that every day. I still do it every day, and for the longest time, that was my time to you know get all the emotion out. I would just cry, be upset, be so messed up, and I'd just go for hours, and I'd always feel a tiny bit better when I came back. And I still do that to this day, and it helps just with normal everyday things too. Just being out in nature by yourself. Um, it's like a meditative time, just to think through what's going on in your life and things you got in your mind. Um, but the whole first year was just shock, and the second year was probably worse. And I talked to a lot of people about it, and they said the same thing, that the second year was worse because the shock kind of leaves you, and you you realize that it's real and that life is moving on. You have to move on, and like you're gonna have to actually live with this. This isn't a dream, even though it feels like a dream. It doesn't feel real. Reality starts to sink in a little bit. So the second year was worse, and that second summer I just um, binge drank like so much, and was just eating everything. Um, that's another thing that happened too. Like that first year, I just lost just lost everything. I wasn't going to the gym anymore and wasn't eating healthy anymore. I graduated college. I don't know how, but I did, and I was taking kinesiology, so we were in the gym like 2 or 3 times a week, which helped. It was a good distraction, but besides that, I probably wouldn't have been in the gym on my own. Um, but I made myself so sick from binge drinking and eating terribly. At the end of that second summer, I got like really, really sick. I had stomach problems before, and I just completely ruined my stomach. So it took me like a full year to heal it up again, and that was probably the biggest period of growth for me that year. And it's been a year, almost 2 years from that point now, and this has been the biggest period of growth for me. It's just been all about health. And I've been slowly working my way up back to physical and mental health. And I can honestly say I'm starting to feel like myself again and like I can live. And it was a crazy, crazy journey. And I don't even know. It's like I feel like I'm just waking up from a dream that, waking up from a nightmare, It's 3 years later. But I learned a lot and it completely changed who I am and my perspective on life. I think the first thing that you learn when someone that close to you dies is that first thing I learned anyway was that the only thing in life that really matters is the people that you love, you know, your family and your close friends. Your friends that are like family, the two or three close friends, or however many you have. Because if one of those people die that you couldn't imagine losing, nothing else matters. You know, we get ourselves so concerned with things that don't matter. I think like money and school and material things and relationships and he said, she said, and whatever, man. Whatever it is, it's just nonsense. All of it. You know, the only thing that really matters is the people that you love. And it also dramatically shifted my perspective on death. I I feel much more empathetic for people that when people die, when people lose people. Not that it wasn't before, but I just kind of have an understanding of what they're gonna have to go through now, and I really empathize with people. And it's hard to you can't really compare pain, but I don't know what it's like to lose a sibling. I don't know what it's like to lose a parent. I don't know what it's like to lose a child. So I lost my girlfriend that I loved. I was with her for 2 years. But people lose people all the time, and it's just an unfortunate part of life. But it really, you know, it puts things in perspective for sure. So I wanted to make this podcast to hopefully inspire someone else to get help that needs it, you know, and share people's stories that are going through hard times, and maybe share stories of people who are inspiring as well. Because if it can help one person, then it'd be worth it. And I think the main message is to take care of yourself and take care of the people you love, because that's really what's important, you know. But I guess I'll leave it at that for this podcast. But I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been listening and supporting, and hopefully this can help someone. So thank you.